Well, I want to start off with asking, what about these roles drew you to the project, especially you, Rachael?
Well, this was something that was really, really different for me. I come from indie dramas and romantic comedy, and I am someone who's always been a fan of crime shows, but I didn't really know if there was a place for me there. But I really started looking at the actor role as a potential, real character piece amidst the backdrop of, a show that I would be watching anyway. And it just added up to make a whole lot of sense. And then I just auditioned and tested for the role, and luckily it worked out.
Yeah. We heard a little bit about your character last season, when we finally get to meet him, as I saw in person. What about Donnie did you like or maybe dislike in the role?
Yeah. I won't ask a show of hands who liked or disliked Donnie. I suppose it's fun playing characters who are challenging to an audience and to other characters in themselves in some way. And first and foremost, it was a really well written, beautifully acted show, and so that was extremely appealing in terms of having the opportunity to join these guys. But then, yeah, playing a character who is a little ambiguous in terms of, is he a good guy, is he not a good guy, and the audience kind of has to work out for themselves what they think about him is kind of fun.
Kate clearly has some feelings about Donnie, maybe some hatred. But exes tend to reunite at some point, especially if they're working together, even if it's for one night. How is their dynamic, their work dynamic, their personal dynamic going to play out throughout the season?
How much were you going to get in trouble if we
Yeah.
tell them was?
They'll tell us back there.
We tell you, but then we have to kill you.
There'll just be like a small poison dart that look at the end.
She said too much. Well, we can't give away everything, but there is an evolution, and there's, I guess what we can say is there's definitely, one of the fun parts of the story is just, right when you think you know everything you need to know about a person or a character or a relationship, then things happen in life and things reveal themselves about the past and can change your perception.
Nice.
Good, I did that. Thank you. Good.
At the end of the first season, Daniel kissed your character, but it was a hallucination and it never really was brought up again. So are we going to have sort of a love triangle this season? Is he going to confront his feelings, and perhaps Kate might be getting jealous that he has a relationship?
Yeah, any number of those things could and do happen. But no, there's a really cool episode where Daniel says to Kate, "Hey, I think you've got a thing for me, and I can't really deal with that." And he doesn't really say whether he feels anything for her or, she sort of is just so shocked by the whole thing that she sort of says, like, I can't, who the hell do you think you are for saying that, you don't know me? And then she's like, so, I don't know, his being account stirs up a lot of trouble, and it's his character that does a lot of that stirring.
What was some of the most fun things for you in the first season to film? You got to do a little bit of action. You played a pretty tough character.
Yeah, much to the surprise of everyone who knows me. I was shocked and thrilled to get this part. I know what unlikely casting I am, and I'm grateful every day I'm on set. We get to do a lot of fun things. Yeah, like you were saying, who didn't see the pilot? Most of it's fun. I got to jump off a second-story building, which is cool on paper. And we got there, I'm up there, and I'm like, oh, I'm afraid of heights. And I cried a little, and then I jumped, and I was so scared I blacked out on the way down. It was terrible, and I think they all thought, what have we done? But then after the initial sort of shock and terror wears off, it was okay, and I totally jumped off all by myself a couple more times, and no stunt has been out ever since then. So much stuff.
I couldn't tell you blacked out at all. She's so relaxed in the middle of
Scott, what's it been like coming into a show that's, established one season? They already have their rapport with each other. What's it been like to join?
The short version is amazing. They're obviously incredibly talented people, but they're really cool people too, and it's just a really great place to go to work. It's a great set, and they've been really welcoming to me. And there's a little bit of a, when something is working and great and it already exists, you just, you don't want to come and screw it all up for everybody. And you want to, I just wanted to feel like I was, becoming a part of the fabric of the way stories get told on this show, and they've been amazing at making me feel like part of the family there, and so it's been fun. And the fact that there is this, I don't know if you call it a triangle, but there's, at a certain point it occurs to Donnie that Daniel might be in the way of things, because they have very strong feelings about each other, and playing all that stuff out. The beauty of this show in many ways is that it's got this, obviously there's a procedural element to it, there's sort of a case every week kind of thing, but there's really great character. Each character on their own, and all the relationships are so rich, and it seems like the addition of Donnie has kind of even stirred things up in a new way. It's been fun.
It's so true, because your character is the polar opposite of Piers.
Right.
And so many issues to work out with mine. It's like you have a perfect foil to both of us.
Yeah, and which makes, I think, the journey, as there become these moments of kind of redemption of one kind or another. But it's written so well and so patiently that, it takes a long time. I get a lot of, I get kicked around quite a bit before things turn at all.
As you said, there is a procedural aspect. You guys have had some really interesting cases. Has there been one that was really fun for you, or a case that really shocked you or surprised you when you learned about it?
Oh man, this show is a wake-up call in terms of what could possibly be wrong with you or anyone you love every single week. So, does one stick out in particular? Let's take it, Scott.
Well, this one, I thought this just in terms of, this idea of like, is this guy, because it's, when he shoots, he sort of lobotomizes himself, and this question of, is it the same person? If you shoot out the part of your brain that is the person you are, then, but every week it's, and the writers clearly do ridiculous amounts of research to come up with these things. But I think that's what's fun about it too, is it's not just like a whodunit. There's also this exploration of the human mind and what could go wrong with it. But it's I feel like so many shows it's really just about the crime and in this case watching Daniel in particular kind of sort through the these disorders and these these things that cause people to do things like this it's pretty cool and some of the stuff that you guys
They
yes.
take on a lot.
Yeah. The first episode of season 1 starts out where your character and Daniel already know each other. They obviously have a history. What was it like establishing a dynamic with Eric? Was it easy, or did it take a while to have that back and forth banter come so naturally?
I don't know. I'm really happy to hear that you think so. I was a fan of Eric's before getting cast, and really was so hopeful to get it, as I said. But I credit the writing with that, and if we work well together, that's just a quick piece of casting off the bat, hopefully. I just have a great time working with him. It's the writing. There's no chemistry. Very little on my part.
We actually have a fun little surprise. We're going to do a Don't worry, no surprise for you guys. A trivia question. TNT so generously has a little fun package. So I hope you guys know your perception well. Does anyone want to guess what Louis T's first name is? You'll win an awesome prize.
There's like a lot of names. That's not.
I know. I thought of the question, but
I mean, no.
I knew it would be a tough one. Do you know?
Oh, of course. I didn't think we were
Matt, it's season 1 of Perception.
Oh.
Is it Max?
Yes, you answer that. Very good. All right, you'll get it at the end.
Do you work for TNT?
But you're sitting next to them.
The festival.
There you go. We're going to open up the questions to the audience. Who has any questions for
You said that you jumped off the second floor. I know most TV shows nowadays, if someone trips over a rock, it's like, should you have a stunt double on set? Like, how many coordinators can you put into the room? Is that something that you argued to do before you remembered your heights? Or is it something producers asked?
Yeah, there's always somebody standing by for, insurance reasons. I think it would be really expensive if I died, so there's always some thrill seeker who's willing to do it, and they're incredible. So yeah, there was a girl who was like 5'7", who jumped off the building, which I had a problem with because she made the height of the building look so much shorter than what I did. She did great. I remember the stunt coordinator's name was Shelley, but she did a great job. My stunt double now has been doing a lot of fun stuff. She's a really good double for me, especially sort of from three-quarter profile. And Eric has gone up to her on like 4 occasions and started conversations with her. I did back away. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Is Donnie going to get to do any stunts, or is he just staying in the office?
No stunt double yet. For my picking up of the legal pad. You can get a paper cut. You got to get somebody in
You
there.
can hand double.
Yeah, her double is like crazy, freaky doppelganger. Like I was in a room with her recently, and there was a scene where there's a gun shoots somebody. I don't want to get a dart to the neck. But I was like, oh yeah, Rachel's here, and then she started talking, and I was like, what's wrong with Rachel's voice? It's weird. She's like the perfect double.
Right there.
Well, first of all, I loved it up in the air. So
I like that movie as well. I was not
I thought that was you.
I wish that was me.
I didn't even get in for that. Let's talk about
that. And I can't do it. I suggest following her on Twitter. I do.
But I was just wondering, like, as you guys are out, we enjoy watching you. I just wondered what you guys enjoy watching. What are you guys fans of?
Besides up in here?
It's just kind of on a loop in your living room.
I'm obsessed with this show. I love Archer on FX. Videos. I'm way into that. I like Bob's Burgers. I like kind of light stuff. Of course.
And the original.
Yeah. My husband works on a new show that's starting soon called The Original, so he's on Vampire Diaries. It's delicious. So, yeah, there's some vampire watching in our house.
What about you?
We like the greatest hits that everyone talks about these days. Homeland is a show we really like. Yeah. Woo. And Breaking Bad, I'm late on that, but we're kind of pouring through it now, and it's pretty amazing. And a lot of Disney Junior with my 4-year-old. Yeah, Jake and the Neverland Pirates.
Right here.
Hi, I was Mary Jo's assistant in the first season.
I know, it's like, thank you. How's it going?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I was worried that he was on his meds. I was like, no more people that
TV show?
Because that's one of my favorite parts is the people that aren't really there. It was so cool to have, in the first season, Joan of Arc and John Kennedy. And, I guess my question is, are there people who are famous in the second season that you're allowed to talk about, and who
so awesome that he gets to have these hallucinated characters exactly as you guys did a great job casting everyone in the first season.
It was
Seriously.
a lot of brain. So much fun to work on. That's been my favorite.
I'm so glad. We have, I think we can say it, Judd Hirsch is playing Sigmund Freud for us right now this week. Yeah, so pretty amazing. This season's like, it's been a blur. Will's he's been this season. I keep thinking, oh, Karen Elwes, that was last season.
Yeah. The Colonel was pretty great.
The Colonel.
Yeah, Graham.
I don't think we have any major like historical or famous people. The answer is no.
Kind of what she said, when you finish the first season, you're kind of nervous where they're taking Daniel because
he's not going to see anyone anymore.
Yeah. So is that? I mean, is he off his meds or starting to go off his meds for the whole season in order to keep that up? Or
well, as Eric said, if that happens, we don't have a TV show.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer's no. But yeah, it's so cool because some of the best characters are people who I don't only get to not get to work with. I have to like intentionally work as hard as I can to not work with. So.
For Scott, you talked about how this is such a different kind of character for you. It is, because you're usually like a lovable kind of guy. But so is that something you kind of like seeked out? Did you want to go for like this kind of like thick character or not?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, well, the first thing I, did for any length of time was such a sort of an earnest, kind of straightforward, nice guy that I think for a while I wanted to try and find anything to do but that. But when I really think about it, I've played kind of a lot of dicks over the course of my last, the last few series, and I think there's part of it is, you get a character like this, and I think if you put somebody in there who kind of gives off dickish energy all the time and has a dickish face, then it's sort of like, oh, okay, we know who that is, and what's that?
It's like all the movies in the 80s.
Yes.
Bad guys looked like bad guys.
Yeah.
This gets away with murder.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of part of the design of why, Mary Jo thought it was a good idea. Yeah, I think it's fun to play guys who you're not quite so sure about. That's something that is always, appealing, I think. And in this case, it's easy to look at the sort of surface of him and think, one thing, but I think over the course of the season, you start to see different sides of him, and maybe by the end you won't think he's a dick.
Yep, back there.
So Rachel, I'm curious, on one hand, parody is the ultimate flattery, but on the other hand, I can imagine it can be fairly awkward and embarrassing watching something like Not Another Teen Movie, which is where the main character is clearly it's a parody of something that you've done. I'm curious what that experience is like watching something like that.
I'm not trying to sound like a hater. I haven't seen it.
Oh, really?
No, so I don't know what that experience is like. But yeah, I mean, the only negative reaction I remember really having about that movie, and I still have if I think about it, is I feel old. Like, how did already? Like, I feel like, wait a second, that much. They made the spoof after it had been out like 3 years ago. So I felt old pretty quick. But other than that, didn't bother me at all. It was, I grew up watching John Hughes movies, and that anybody could consider a teen movie that I made 1/1 billion as, iconic as those are and worthy of parody as he said. Was it good?
I love it. It's just hilarious.
I think I'm ready.
Was it Lacey?
Was she in it?
Lacey was in it too. Yeah, she played Sweet Rose for a little bit.
Yeah.
It all really comes full circle. I think I saw another hand back there. Yes, right over there.
Well, going back to your movies, how much fun did you have making All I Want to Do with Kirsten Dunst and Gabby Hoffman?
Good memory. That's vintage stuff. People know what he's talking about. Everyone. That was a great experience. That was, I want to say 97 or 98. We made that in Toronto. My predominant memory is of Heather Moderazzo, who you guys might remember from Welcome to the Dollhouse, who's in the movie, was her mom not wanting her to hang out with me, which is as close as I ever felt to being cool ever. She was like, that Rachael, something not right about her. I literally think I heard her say that. So Heather wasn't allowed to hang out with me. I remember that, and it was so hot, and we were in these wool uniforms that one day 5 of the extras fainted dead away, and they had to delay filming for a while. And that's most of what I remember about that. Yeah.
Right there.
I had a question about another TV show you worked on that was great. You were on Psych for a season. You were Sean's girlfriend. So what was that experience like for you?
That was a great experience. Talk about a tight-knit group and just feel like you're coming into a family. That's a really well-run show, and I was amazed that they asked me back because they hadn't serialized any character, I don't think, until then. Yeah, I love the show. Is it still going? It's still going.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a lot of crimes, those guys stuff.
Oh, yeah.
First stop. Over here.
Hi.
Since I was working, I get to see the party at 5. What do you think, as far as the weekend having a little reunion with the cast members, and then also, where do you think Bailey would be now? You know, and also you were on another one of my favorite shows, Everwood. You know, and
Yeah.
what was your character on there? What do you think both of your characters on the shows would be now?
That's hard. Yeah, that's a hard question. Somebody asked me that earlier too, but
Oh, then you should know that.
I know. Yikes. Well, the answer to the first part, I think there were 9 parts. Yeah, no. The Party 5 thing was great. I mean, it was, there's some of the other cast people that I haven't seen in a long time, in years, and they showed an episode which was like a crazy blast from the past. But I don't know. I hope Bailey's doing well. When we finished the show, after we filmed the last episode, there was definitely a moment of, up till that point, every episode or every season, you knew there was like the future of that person you were about to step into, and so you didn't have to wonder. And all of a sudden, we were leaving them after 6 years with them, and it was occurred to me that I would never sort of find out where he wound up. I don't know. I hope he's happy. I hope he's got a couple kids. He struggled a bunch. He cried a lot. This poor kid. So I hope he's happy. And as far as Jake Hartman, the Everwood character, he was kind of my first on my run of dicks. I don't know where Jake would be, but I know that that was another great fun show to be a part of, and it's like,
I think I'm something happy.
you know what? I think Jake is the governor of Iowa. No. He had like a prescription pill problem too, so I think he's clean and sober now, and running a rehab in Santa Fe. A rehab bed and breakfast. It's kind of like a dual business.
Right here.
Scott, I love Q&A, and I met Logan Huffman on a film that I was PAing on, and so I got to talk to him a little bit about how he didn't really like the way his character was going and all that. So I liked how he said that they made him turn into a little bitch. So in a funny way, he wasn't being mean about it at all. But so I was just wondering if you had any stories about working on that show, just like any funny things, memorable.
Logan was a little bitch. No, he was awesome. It was cool. I mean, it you know, I mean, candidly, it was. I don't think there's anyone from ABC here. I won't get a dart to the neck.
I think we're safe. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's you know, there are shows where things feel really intact creatively in terms of the writing and the direction things are going in, and then there are ones that don't feel as such. And you know, this one, Perception, it's like, you know, Kenneth Biller, the guy who runs it, and all the producers and the crew and the cast obviously are just, everybody's just on the same page, and they know what the show is, and they know how to make it great, and it's just fun. It feels like there's just competent people who are doing their jobs well, and it's a fun place to go to work. That wasn't always the case with that one. The potential was pretty great with it, but you know, I spent a lot of time on a green screen stage in Vancouver where basically, you know, a giant sort of warehouse size stage with just giant green walls, and you know, and they're like, now you're in the, you know, the office, Anna's office on the spaceship, and so you did a lot of kind of conjuring up of things in your own mind to know where you are, but it was fun. Again, you know, I keep coming back to the dick thing, but yeah, I mean, Chad was probably, you know, the quintessential dick of my career thus far, and just a spineless kind of guy, just blew, you know, wherever the wind would blow him, and whatever was best for him, he followed. And the fun of this guy, I feel like, is he's much less, you know, I believe in Donnie. I know you all don't at this point. I can only hope you will eventually. And he's you know, whereas Chad was just a spineless kind of opportunistic guy, you know, I feel like Donnie's just a little more of a flawed human being who might have a shot, kind of thing.
It's not all black or white. You know, people aren't all good or all bad, and Donnie's a great example.
That means a lot to me, thank you.
I said Donnie.
Right. Next question.
Back there.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring it a little bit back to Perception too. The concept of the crime drama is everywhere, and you, Rachel, specifically spoke to the fact that you were drawn to this project, and I just wonder if you could say why. Like, what is it when you got the sides or whatever it was that made you go, this is going to hit, this is going to be good, and I'm going to enjoy doing it?
I don't know what's going to hit. If I did, you know, again, have a more secure job. But what I responded to was the character, and all of my own personal interests were in place there. I just really wanted to play something that was, you know, very different from anything else that I had done. And I'm also, like, I bet a lot of people here really fascinated by psychology and human behavior, and I love shows that sort of inadvertently educate you while entertaining. So I'm lucky that audiences are just getting smarter and cooler and want to watch the same thing.
And I think there's like an underlying humanity and emotion to the show, because it's not just kind of like who stabbed who, but it's about these kind of emotional and psychological issues and things that, and disorders in a lot of ways that people are dealing with. And so the cases become really personal. And the way Daniel investigates them, and the relationship between Kate and Daniel is, it all just feels sort of really personal. And I don't know, I think it affects what it feels like to watch the show, because you're not kind of at a distance just seeing some sort of heinous criminal act. You're really invested in the characters, even the characters who are potentially guilty of doing bad things.
That's so well said.
I thought of that ahead of time.
Totally gonna steal it later. I'm not gonna credit you.
Have you had responses from people from, you know, just whether it's relating or surprised by things they didn't know with mental illness and other things that come up?
I've had a couple people just, you know, say like, hey, I really like your show. I am bipolar. Like, that's great. We're going there. Let's do this. I like that people are, you know, like we're having a dialogue, and this show's, you know, potentially part of starting that. That's exciting.
Oh, sorry, that light. I can't see you.
This is for Rachel. Going to Perception. Really glad you're on that show, because first, when I saw that show when it came out, I was like, I wonder how she will be as every night. You're such a strong, spunky Spitfire, and I just love it.
Thanks.
And I mean, how close to Kate are you? You know, I mean, did you have to stretch?
Strong physical resemblance.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm being stupid.
That is your dog
question.
for sure. You know, I mean, how close to her personality do you feel is close to you? I mean, or you stretch really deep to get to that place?
She's a lot tougher than I am. That's, I think, the biggest difference. I think we both share like a not so mild obsession with justice. I get really upset when I hear about people wrongfully put in jail or convicted of crimes, that kind of thing. And I think that she comes from a similar passionate place about that. She's a lot more, like we were talking about people seeing things one way or another. And I'm not saying it's typical of all people in law enforcement, but I think that in her instances can be common. She just tends to see things as, he's guilty, he's not guilty. This is, it's black or it's white. Whereas it's totally typical Libra, like, maybe it's not quite what you think it's like. This is a chair. Are you sure it's a chair? Like just totally whiffy. But it's been really interesting to me how just pretending to be stronger, I feel like it's made me actually stronger in my real life. So maybe she's like rubbing off on me a little bit. But the funny thing, sorry, I'm still talking. The funny thing about TV is that the trap that you fall into largely is like playing a lot of yourself because you don't know where they're going to take you from week to week. So it's like you do end up, exposing all of your mannerisms and all of that. So yeah, there's way too much of me in there. Yeah, thanks.
I think we have time for one more question.
I was just wondering if Daniel hasn't ever got to be on the show yet.
Or will he be?
He's still working on 2 shows. Thanks for casting him first season, by the way. Appreciate it. Didn't happen. Just kidding. Oh no, he was busy. But yeah, why did you leave us?
Sherry just said she tried, but she was never available.
It's true, he wasn't. He wasn't available. He's doing a show in Canada called Saving Hope.
Yeah.
And now he's starting originals. Yeah, I'm gonna try to scam my way into one of those shows after I'm done here.
You can be on the originals, or would you want to be a werewolf or a vampire?
The problem is that I'm too old for the CW now. I'd be like someone's grandmother.
That would be. Vampires don't age. Vampires don't age, so. Yeah, right. We can do one more question if there was one more. Yeah,
Are you guys are still filming this season now, right? Because you mentioned doing stunts, I was wondering, given your current situation, will you be doing less stunts?
Yeah, I'm doing even fewer stunts than was established I should do after the pilot. So yeah, my doubles around. I volunteered her to walk from desk A to desk B, just because my vanity's involved at this point. So yeah, she's around quite a bit and doing a great job. So if you can spot her, don't tell anybody.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming out, and thank you.